Welcome to Yingisa Hanya. My name is Isiah Khosa. Today I would like to talk about music in worship. But basically I'll be talking about sacred music. I'm going to be using the presentation that I have on my laptop to go through this session. So don't mind when sometimes I look aside, away from the camera. But the important thing is for us to learn. May you just have a time of prayer when you go through this lesson, because this is one of the lessons that they've got too much debate, controversies, and many other things. So it's good for one to pray and seek God's guidance. You can just pause your video and then you have time for prayer. Right now I'm taking it from here. When we talk about sacredness of a thing, sacredness of music, sacredness of a book, sacredness of a house, sacredness of anything, this is basically what it means when we say something is sacred. We mean that it is holy. It pertains to God or to His worship. This basically means that it has been separated from common secular uses and it is consecrated to God and His service as a sacred place, a sacred day, a sacred feast, a sacred service, a sacred orders, many sacred things in a way. So that's what basically sacredness is all about. It's all about something that has been dedicated to God in a way. The second definition that we find in Webster's dictionary, it says it proceeds from God and it contains religious precepts as the sacred books of Old Testament and the New Testament. So basically, it's about dedication and it is offered or is put aside as a holy thing which is dedicated to God. Then when we talk about music, we're talking about a sound, melody and harmony, or melody or harmony, which actually is any succession of sounds modulated or created or made to sound to please the ear, or any combination of simultaneous sounds in accordance or harmony. So this can be vocal or it can be instrumental. A vocal music is the melody of a single voice or the harmony of two or more voices in concert. And then whilst instrumental music is that produced by one or more instruments. So that's basically what music is all about. So the term melody, which has been identified then, what does it mean? This is an agreeable succession of sounds. So these sounds are following each other, agreeing to each other. A succession of sounds so regulated and modulated as to please the ear. So if you can take note, the main thing here, when we talk about music, we're talking about some certain sounds which are pleasing the ear. But this time around, since we're talking about sacred music, we're talking about sounds that pleases the ears of God. in a way, or which have been set aside for holy purposes or to please the ears of God. This is how I've concluded it. These are pleasant sounds which are dedicated or directed or sanctified or set apart towards God. First, people are not pleased by the same style of sounds. If you can question yourself what type of a sound you like, you might be liking a certain, we talk about genres these days. You can like a certain genre and another person likes another type of a genre. So we don't like the same type of sounds. We like different types of sounds. Just as in my house, I find that I like a certain type of sound, like, for example, vocal sounds, which are in a cappella. And then my kids like some certain sounds. We don't like the same sounds altogether. So when those sounds are being played, they bring attraction not to one person, but to different types of people, depending on the type of sound you're playing. And that sound can call you from afar. If you're busy, if you're playing as a kid, then I play some songs which are basically attractive to kids. Then the kids might stop doing whatever that they are doing and then run towards where the sound is coming from, and then they go and listen or to watch such a sound. So, in a way, music is attractive as well. It takes attention from the person who likes it, uh, depending on the type of sound that that person likes. So, when we talk about sacred music, this is not the music for Isiah, this is not the music for your wife, it's not the music for the kids, it's not the music for any other person, but this is the music for God. So we can call it godly music. This one is not to please me, meaning that even if I don't like it myself, I'm going to play it just for God's sake, because its direction and its dedication is for God, it's not for anyone else. So that's how I'm going to play it. And only when I am playing it, I'm playing sounds for myself, not for God, and then I can play the songs that I like. But if I want to sing, especially to sing for God, and then it means I have to sing in a way that He will like it, which is called godly music or sacred music, which is the same thing. Which, just to give you an example, when you one wants to have a good time with your wife or your husband, you will normally play songs that will please your partner, not mainly yourself. On my side, I will not play a cappella for my wife if I want her to be attracted by the songs that I'm playing, or to enjoy the environment, or to be happy in such an environment. If I play a cappella, it will only be me. I'll be singing loud and excited about it. But if I want to play for my wife, I will change the type of a song or the type of genres or sounds which I will be playing on the computer. I will take those songs, for example, country songs or different songs that are calm, and they are nice and natural in a way. Songs that brings peace. Normally my wife likes such songs. So I will play such songs which are calm in nature, peaceful in nature, and those are the songs which will be will be dedicated in that way. So for God, you need to search and find out which music is for God, which God is going to be happy with. So that means even when we talk about the temple, when we talk about the house of God, the music in the house of God, this is not the music to please Isiah, to please the preacher, to please someone else in the church. No, 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 no. We are not singing songs in the church to please ourselves, because we are not there to dedicate music to ourselves. If we want to do that, we can do it at home. But there in the church, in the house of God, we do the songs to please God, sacred music. When we go to the book of Matthew chapter 26 verse 30, we go to find these words. When they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. This is Jesus Christ. He sang a hymn. So Jesus was interested in a hymn. So that means that God is pleased by hymns. Or maybe, was it because Jesus was brought up in a Jewish culture? No, no, no. Christ was not controlled by Jewish culturalism when he was doing things, but he was influenced by God's word. That's why he was saying all the times, I do what pleases my Father. I do what I have been sent by my Father, meaning that there was nothing which Christ was doing which was outside of the will of the Father. So whatever that he was doing within the will of the Father. So God, the Father, is pleased by hymns. Matthew 21 verse 15. It says, and when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, Christ, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of God, they were so displeased, and said unto him, hearest thou what these say? And Jesus said unto them, yes, have ye never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise? So the music for the kids which are noisome to the adults, Christ accepted them. And then Christ says that have been perfected. Well, I don't know what type of a sound it was, but they were singing Hosanna, and that was having a form of repetition. If you can think about that, that's how children normally sing. But you can think about that. When you look again now to the book of Acts chapter 16 verse 25 and verse 26, it says, and at midnight Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened and everyone's bonds were loosed. So now, this is the music which makes God to stand, to act, the sound. So this is the sound which God hears, and he is made to stand, to rise and to come to the aid of his children. I don't know what or how they were singing praise. I don't know how they did that. I don't know what type of a sound they were singing, but this is the sound which maybe we might learn something from the Jewish sounds when they were singing, how they were singing praises, so that maybe we can copy something from them. Another one which you find that God is the rises when that sound comes. It's found in the book of Samuel chapter 16 verse 23. It says, and it came to pass when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hand, so Saul was refreshed, and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So now, this man had an evil spirit, and then when David played that sound, it made the evil spirit to move out. All right, so there's a sound which drives the evil spirits away. And then if the evil spirits are driven away by this sound, does the soul, the person, remain in a vacuum, like without anything? The sound that drives the spirit away, the evil spirits away, therefore it invites the Spirit of God. So that is why we can say that we can learn something from the Jewish culture, which was praising songs. When they were praising God, or when they were singing songs for God, it was bringing calmness, it was bringing God to their hearts, and it was taking out the wrong spirits. So just think about that. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. So we as human, the things that we are interested in, the things that we like, the things that attracts us, the things that pleases us, they're not heavenly, they are worldly. That is why we cannot trust ourselves for the things of God. We need to find out from God what things He does like, so that we can go for the right things. Romans chapter 8 verse 6, it says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." So we need to be spiritual in a way. And this will help us to find pleasing the things of God. And this means finally that we will become like God. And this is the standard which God is calling us for, to have the mind of Jesus. So there are many things which come from the world, and they've come into the church of God today. We see that the church of God is upside down today. There's a lot of noise, there's a bedlam of noise, there's instrumentations, guitars, drums, organs, and singing loudly, whilst at the same time there's times calmness and all those things. And sometimes there are people who are thinking over this, and then they are questioning themselves about these types, these styles of music. The issue of music being used for worship, it's long that it has been there. Let's look at the book of Daniel chapter 3 verse 5. This time it's not for the worship of God, but the worship of other gods. Daniel chapter 3 verse 5 says that, "At what time you hear the sound of cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up." You see, music for worship. Exodus 32 verse 18, "And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for master, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome," meaning it's not for battle, "but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass," this is verse 19, "as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses waxed hot. And he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount." So these guys were worshiping. And what were they doing? They were singing and they were dancing. First Chronicles chapter 15 verse 16 says, "And David spake to the chief of the Levites to appoint their brethren to the singers with instrument of music." This time around is for God, right? The singing, whatever, the sounding, right? It says the singers with instruments of music, psalteries and harps and cymbals sounding by lifting up the voice with joy. So the Levites appointed Heman, the son of Joel, and of his brethren, Asaph, the son of Berechiah, and of the sons of Merari, their brethren, Ethan, the son of Cushai, and with them their brethren of the second degree, Zechariah, Ben, and Jaziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Uni, Eliab, and Benaiah, and Messiah, and Matithia, and Eliphelem, and Mechniah, and Obedandam, Jael, and porters. Verse 19. So the singers, Heman, Asaph, and Ethan, were appointed to sound with cymbals of brass. And Zechariah, and Aziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Uni, and Eliab, and Messiah, and Benaiah with psalteries on Alamoth. Verse 21. And Matithia, Eliphele, and Mechniah, and Obededom, and Jael, and Azaziah with harps on the Sheminith to excel, and Kenaniah, chief of the Levites, was for song. He instructed about the song because he was skilled. It's very important to take note of that. Because he was skilled. He was instructing because he was skilled. 2 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 13. It came even to pass as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. So here you must take note here. They were sounding, but they were making the sound to be one. Okay? To make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music and praised the Lord, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever, that then the house was filled with a cloud, even the house of the Lord. So God came down. God came down himself because the sound was pleasing to him. It was sung in a way that pleases his ear. And we can learn of this technique of music from the Jews. I just did my research a bit to find out about the music of the Jews. The first thing, they do not have a lot of sounds in their music when they make praising sounds. It's either there is one instrument that is playing calmly and nicely, or they have few instruments that are playing, but they are playing calmly without making noise. To understand this, just think of the churches which we normally call the charismatic churches. When they sing songs, there's a time when they say they are making a worship song. They will be all along, they will be dancing, doing all these things, making noise. And then they say, now let's do a worship song. This time we are going to worship. And they change the tune. It changes completely from extreme noise to calmness and peacefulness, which makes one to relax and think of whatever that he is saying and meditate. You have time to think. You don't rush. You're not up and down, but there's calmness, and everyone has time to think within their hearts. From a harshness to peacefulness. Why? Because this time around they are worshiping, as it is called. So this is where you can learn, you can see the technique. The drum changes from being noisome. It goes down, it relaxes. That big drum, it's no longer hitting very hard. The hits there, the tom-toms, the hats, all these ones, now they have changed their tone. It comes down. The guitars, which were of heavy metal, following that high tone, they come down. All the instruments come down, and there is a relaxation because now the song has been dedicated to worship God. Then if you can check during the time of what they call, it is called praising. Praising. No. You can hear in worship that they are praising God as well in worship, though there is noise even in their praising by praying, because there will be a saying of, we praise you, O God, we worship you, you are high, you are exalted, and all those, we praise you for that you are good, you have done this. In that praising which they are doing, the song is calm. Everything is calm. And then also in praying, it's something different. But the main thing that I want here is the changing of the tone from high to low, from noisome to calmness, peacefulness. And that's where you can even hear the harmony. Even those that are playing there, they can hear each other. That, okay, that one is playing like this one is playing like this. And then nicely and softly, the song is also soothing. That brings calmness. So, but the main thing here is that the music to God must be instructed. There must be a skill. There must be a knowledge and an understanding. Especially if you look at it from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14. It says that everything on earth has got a sound. There are a lot of sounds that are there. The harps give sounds, the tambourines, the trumpets, they give sounds, different sounds. And this must be done with understanding. So whosoever is playing the instrumentation, whether it's harp, it's trumpet or whatever, it must come with understanding. He must understand that you can provoke evil spirits to come in the environment, and we think that we are in the environment of God when actually we're in the environment of evil angels. So the person must understand, okay, what type of music or a sound that can bring evil angels, and what type of sound or music that can bring good angels. And then with that distinction, then you can play only in church the sounds that can bring good angels. But we cannot practice this thing in church only, because even in our homes, we need good angels to fill the environment. So we cannot play songs that will bring evil angels even in our homes. So we need to be selective of the types of sounds we are playing, because sounds can either bring God or bring Satan. So be careful on what type of sound you're playing. Where can we learn about good music? Let's learn from the Jews. They are the nation which God had taught the culture of music, of eating, of a lot of things. which now we don't have to basically go there to them. But some of the things we can get them in the book that is written. Because in the book of Corinthians, he says that it has happened to them for an example, so that all the nations can learn how God deals with humanity. From where? From the Jews. So we need to learn from the Jews to understand how God deals with humanity. To understand what type of music pleases God, we can learn from the Jews. To understand what type of dressing we need to put on, we can understand from the Jews. Just to get the principles. This is very, very important. Get the principles there, and then you apply them in your music, in your dress, in your eating, in your doing of things, in anything, in your education. You learn from the Jews. So that's basically what this is all about. Sacred music and